Hi, I can see you're about to apply for an EU trademark. If you're a bit of a beginner in the intellectual property field, you better watch this video before you file to get the global overview you need to do it more safely. When you have an EU trademark, you have an exclusive legal right, a monopoly on using that trademark in the EU, and to register an EUTM, you first have to apply for it. After making your application, your mark will be examined following legal criteria in all of the official EU languages. This takes some time. What you pay for is a legal examination, and there is no refund or guarantee that your mark will be registered. Also, changes can only be made on the very same day you file, so it is essential to get it right from the beginning. That's why you need to understand the basics and check your mark before you apply. First, you need to know that there are specific rules that define what can and what cannot be an EUTM. Read the information on what can and what cannot be registered on the EU IPO website. For instance, your trademark cannot only consist of a description of what your company sells. And it has to be possible to distinguish your brand from someone else's, or in other words, your mark has to be different or at least not similar to any existing trademark. But in order to be able to check these criteria more in detail, you need to think first about the goods and services you're going to produce, deliver or sell with your mark, or in other words, which goods or services you want the trademark to cover. Think about your business today and how you envisage your business in the foreseeable future. All goods and services are organized in classes, and the basic fee of the EUTM application includes one class. Keep in mind that you cannot add more goods or services or classes after the application has been filed, but that also, the more you add now, the higher the probability will be that there is a similar trademark to yours in one of them. This is a risk because the owner of an earlier right could oppose your mark and you might lose. Now that you know what you want your mark to cover, go to TMView and search within the existing trademarks to see if someone else has already registered your mark or a similar mark for the same or similar products or services as yours. Don't forget that if your mark contained figurative elements, you also need to do an image search as well as a search based on the text. Go through the results of the search with care and check whether the trademarks on the list really are that similar or whether they're even identical to yours for the same goods and services. In the event that your search shows marks that are identical or similar to yours for the same or similar goods and services, and they're also either national marks within the EU or EU trademarks, then it is not a straightforward application. Then, you'd better choose another trademark name or get legal advice if you want to continue. Now, if you've made the first 3 checks without any problems, go to the internet to check whether the text of your mark means anything that describes your chosen goods and services in any of the EU official languages. Machine translation is not 100% accurate, but it will give you an idea of whether you need to refine them any further. Maybe it's better to take away something that could become problematic. You decide. Good. Now, if you've made these 4 checks before you apply, you will minimize the risk of not getting your mark registered. But there are other legal aspects that will be examined, which are too lengthy to explain here. When you apply for an EUTM, there are several online filing routes available on the EU IPO website, but the easiest is Easy Filing. When you use Easy Filing, we're very close by for any assistance you might need.